too.
Did you get my
who's going to call you on it?
Who's going to call? Did you get my email on my, like, one of my little insights? And I'm like, investor tips. Did you see that one?
Oh, was that the one about the neighboring property?
Yes. You go ahead. What do you think about that idea?
So let me pull up while we're just talking here. I'll pull up the Orange County Property Appraiser's website. But let me just say this: is there are a lot of things that can happen now that Disney doesn't control the district, because you understand that the district, and for everybody out there, the district kind of controlled the placement of the roads around Disney.
And if you didn't play well with the mouse wouldn't play well with you, right?
The mouse would not play well with you. So this is actually the Orange County, and I'm just going to share this right here. I know that I got to get StreamYard to work properly because I've got the mouse issues, but and not the type of mouse issues that are happening in this lawsuit right now. This is the Orange County Property Appraiser's website. Anybody can pull this up, right? At all whatsoever. And obviously, you've got Magic Kingdom over here, right? You can see Magic Kingdom, right?
Yeah, and this all of this kind of, what is that, greenish blue property? That is all Disney property.
Yep, that is all Disney property. Now, there are things within here. Let me be very clear. There are things that are not Disney property within this. For example, when you zoom in, you see this shades of green right here. Mm-hmm. This property is owned by the U.S. Army. Morale welfare. So this is actually one of those specific properties that they likely failed to give proper notice to, because they had to send that notice out to Alexandria, Virginia, let them know that they were doing all these massive changes. So anything that was within Reedy Creek, they had to send out specific notice. But anyways, over here in Disney Springs, what Steve Gosney was talking about with me was that there are a lot of properties that are right next to Disney, right? They're right abutting Disney or around Disney, particularly over here, like Winter Garden, Vineland Road. You've got stuff that's up here that was right outside of the boundary of Disney. And for the longest time, there's no access and kind of cut through here, right? So you've got really, really poor access.
Well, there it is. So just go up a little bit further. You'll see it.
Yeah.
See, in order to get, right there, in
the
order
Hilton
to
Grand
get
Cypress, right?
The Hilton Grand Cypress is a spectacular hotel, huge, impressive. And when you're driving past
the Hyatt,
Springs,
sorry, it's a Hyatt, right?
Yeah, Hyatt. And you're looking at it, you're like, what is that hotel? It's spectacular, and it's giant, and it's built right there. But in order to get to Disney property from that hotel, you have to go out this road onto this crappy high traffic road right here.
Yep.
Exit there, go around, then take a left and a left. Oh, it's so inconvenient.
Yep. And all you needed to do is have a nice little cut through right here.
Exactly.
And in property that's owned by, let's look at this. What's the property that's separating these two roads owned by?
Reedy Creek. What do you
Reedy
think?
Creek. Well, don't you know what Reedy Creek can do there? They can just build a little road and make it much, much easier.
And, I think that the traffic that hotel dumps onto that high traffic road, this would greatly ease the traffic congestion on that road.
And by the way, they said they hired, this is one of the things they noted in their last meeting, they've hired a urban planner to look at how they can be a better neighbor to the folks around them. I think stuff like that, just an easy cut through, is a great way to be a good neighbor.
I think so too. And people don't realize what a bad neighbor Disney has been to the Floridians. No. They don't understand when they're like that we're taking such glee in their downfall. And the thing is that, well, first of all, there's the whole current debate, the politics, the infusion, but they've earned a bad reputation over many decades.
And they've been a bad neighbor to their to people that are right next to them. I tell people pretty openly, I used to represent, it's partly here, you can kind of see it, Bonnet Creek, which is here in the next county. So I had to debate them for years about the signage leading up to Bonnet Creek, because they had a special agreement to put signage in Disney, because the only way to get to Bonnet Creek is through Disney. And the state wouldn't allow us to have a cut through from I-4, so wouldn't allow I-4 to directly connect. So I had to fight them, tooth and nail for everything. And then, of course, once we get stuff, they're like, well, we're just going to take more of your property in order to expand our road, right? They constantly will try to screw you over in everything they negotiate with. By the way, this is Orange County, but in Osceola County down here, there's this road 192. It's right here, down here. There's such a stark difference when you go from Disney property to off Disney property. Yeah. And the sad thing is, many Disney workers live in these rundown hovels off of what is 192 here. It's very, very sad, especially like the housekeeping staff, the janitorial staff. They are not dealt with in a nice way.
So this little top end here, there's a whole nother piece that's in the other counties that they're not showing. See,
yeah. So this is below. It's in Osceola County. So I was just showing you Orange County because this is the majority of it, right? The majority of Disney, but it's not all of Disney. It extends down, which is why, by the way, it's appropriate for the governor to appoint a board, because whenever there's a multi-county situation like this, that is appropriate for the governor, because that is something the state resolves, a conflict between counties. Because otherwise, Orange County would say, well, I want to appoint 4 out of 5 board members. And Osceola would say, no, it should be, half and half with a neutral party, and the governor kind of resolves that. And by the way, you go look at other large operations in Orlando. For example, here you see Universal Studios, right? Universal Studios, big operation here. This is their main operation, but then they also have their new operation, which is going on over here, right? In this area.
What is that going to be?
That is their Epic Universe. So you see Universal City Partners Development here. Mm-hmm. So I can spill the beans on this because it's not a secret anymore. Here you go. Epic Universal proposed theme park. See this right here?
Right.
So what actually happened, I'll actually tell you guys a little bit of an old story. So all of this property, Universal had an option to buy it. And they kept that option, preserved that option for years. And when I was there, we exercised that option. So this was a massive deal to buy out all of this property. And in fact, over here, which is iDrive, there's this giant wheel called the Orlando Eye. Right. That was actually built in response to us buying this property, because they knew that this is going to have a really good view into Universal once it actually is built out.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know. This is good inside information.
This is insider information.
Well, here's some more like this is.
This is where Mario is going to go, guys. This is where Mario Park is going to go. The Nintendo stuff. It's all going to go in here.
So that's fascinating. And let me just explain what iDrive is, because see, you've got these major theme parks. SeaWorld's over here. You've got the 2 Universal parks. You've got the 4 Disney parks. All of this is right in this little zone. Yes. But iDrive is outside the city limits of Orlando. So the city of Orlando is there. And then all of a sudden you've got capitalist hell on the iDrive, which is just unregulated, crazy Florida stuff. And that's kind of, I'd say that it's explained, but the whole key is
it's the county. It's the county, and the county was just allowing anything to do whatever. But also, I will say the city is kind of woke as hell, and they kind of were putting really, really crazy restrictions at a certain point. It flipped at a certain point where the city became more open to development, but for a long time it was hard to develop in the city. So it was preferable in the county, which is why iDrive busted out as such a madhouse, like you said, because the regulations were just not there. You could do whatever. You could put pretty much whatever you wanted.
It's so Florida, like unregulated tourist trap. It's crazy,
So some inside baseball here, and this is for you guys, is that Universal was interested in forming a special district. So I actually, while I was there, explored the option of building a special district that covers this property. And actually, we wanted to even see if we could get it. And this is kind of insane, right? But we wanted to say, let's pull a Disney. Let's have it connect the 2 properties. So we'll have this big property down here connect along Kirkman Road to the other property here, including, by the way, Wet and Wild, which is owned by Universal as well.
Wet and Wild. Is that still functioning?
Yes. No, they've closed that down and turned it into hotels. Okay. So it's now hotels. But the point is is that we wanted to explore that, that possibility. And we also were exploring the possibility of approaching the legislature. And when we went to the legislature and said, hey, can we do a Reedy Creek thing? They were like, absolutely fucking not. We never want to do that thing again. That is horrible. That was a horrible decision. But we go, we have kind of an equity argument, because why are they allowed to do it and we're not? Is that fair?
This is exactly well, and we have, this is Florida politics, and let's explain. Yes. I live in Daytona Beach. And we are the redheaded stepchild of Central Florida. Everybody looks down on little old Daytona Beach, and for good reason, I will say. And one of those things is that
we call it the dirty Daytona.
Daytona.
I've seen needles on the beach there. No offense, Steve.
Well, it's not so much that; it's that we have it's a madhouse over here. Let's just leave it at that. But one of the things is that we have this government that thinks we're actually going to compete with the mouse, right? That like Daytona is going to be the destination for families. And we're so confused about what we are. And our leadership is all the lawyers and the doctors that want to have like family fun and museums and stuff. And really the city is really like bikers and race week and airplanes, right? So, but anyways, what they do is then they have this taxing, and they'll tax. And they'll tax and they'll build a big hotel on the waterfront and fund it with tax dollars, like the Hilton here, which has changed names like 5 times. And they spent $3.5 million to build this hotel. And I'm like, what about, where that tax money's coming from? All the little mom and pop hotels along there that are struggling to make things meet, and they're going to take that money and give it to Hilton. I mean, it's like, where's the equity there? Oh, we're for the little guy. Yeah, sure. Tax the little guy, tax the rich, catch the poor, and give to the rich. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's crazy. And this is your equity argument right there.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing is, it's like you've said to me, it's who they know. There's a lot of this inside baseball of like who knows who. And when you look at, hey, why were these people allowed to do this and these people weren't? It often is exactly that, right?
Let me tell you an inside story. So I used to be involved in all this stuff over here in Daytona, and like one of the guys that was a principal and who shall remain unnamed, who was involved in this ridiculous deal where basically the county lost the $3.5 million. The hotel went bankrupt, which everybody knew would happen, and they lost their shirt. And this same guy that went to the county and got that money and lost it for the county, goes back to the county and gets another $2 million for another project, right? And I was talking because I was friendly with this guy, and I'm like, what's going on here? Because I'm a resident. I'm like, our county, and he's like, they keep giving. What am I supposed to stop asking? I thought that was a pretty well, good point. If we're so stupid to keep throwing the money out, right? We also have the racetrack. We have a racetrack.
Well, the racetrack is the biggest draw in Daytona. Let me just be very clear. Like the racetrack has always been the big thing in Daytona. You think of Daytona, you think of the Speedway, right? The Daytona Speedway. That's always been the massive, massive draw for Daytona.
We're a special events town.
I will say, I mean, you can confirm or deny, but I think Daytona and the Florida coast has grown as Florida has grown, right? So obviously, as the demand for Florida is up, people look for places in Florida that, hey, this area costs less. This area has potential for development. So they're going to develop where there's potential. They're like, okay, people want to move to Florida, right? They just want to move to Florida. They don't know the history and the backstory like us good old Florida boys, right? Once you're in there, you know the difference between, for example, Port St. Lucie and Stewart, right? There's a big difference between Port St. Lucie
Punta Gorda and Fort Myers. Right.
There's a huge difference.
Eustis and Mount Dora.
Right? If you look, if you look at a map, you're like, oh, these places are right next to each other. But then you go there and you're like, wait a second. All right, let me catch these super chats. And by the way, guys, if there's any, tell me if there's any YouTube issues or anything else. But yeah, just report those to me and I'll obviously follow up with any YouTube issues. And Rumble has been giving me some issues, but I'm going to make sure that everything uploads that. I'll do it manually if I have to today. So don't worry, I will get to all of that. But I've been streaming nonstop, so I haven't had a chance to
rock it. You are in your
baby
zone.
Rumble.
This is your zone, man. I'm so excited for you because This is your baby. You need to spike that football, man.
Oh, I will, and I am going to, because look, this is only going to heat up, and the bullshit's going to heat up. And frankly, let me be very clear. All of the experts that they've pulled out don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're going to continue to pull them out from nowhere, right, with no experience, knowing nothing about this, knowing nothing about state law, nothing about development agreements, and ask these people out of state what they think about the case.
See, this is what hilarious. I think. It's a snobatorium over there, and they're